but you see like an infant essentially that is like useless. Like in a literal sense, right? Like,
I'm just imagining like you see like a little baby and you're like, you need to get a job. You little useless piece of, you fucking freeloading piece of shit. Listen. Are you having an affair with on your significant other? If not, you need to. Hello and welcome to the Weeb Crew. I'm your host and soon to be disbarred divorce lawyer Sayate. and I'm joined as always by my co-counsel Mumi.
We've been going for an hour and we're just not getting to the intro.
No. Well, listen, Patreon listeners are eating well this week, all right? As we just talked about Detective Conan and a bunch of other bullshit for an hour.
I mean, us entering into this fucking podcast talking about being unfaithful to anime, just everyone listening just got a really weird, like, what the fuck are they talking about?
It's fine. I don't know if I'll start it right then and there. We'll see when will be the funniest time to cut from the intro. But I guess we have a few things. We don't really have like a clear plan of what to talk about this week. You read the whole manga for Houseki no Kuni, and presumably an afternoon because it's not that long.
No, yeah, I've read a lot of manga actually. Well, not a lot, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 manga in the last week. Most of them are just short, but
yeah. Well, I've been saying like we should like start doing like Patreon exclusive like one shot reviews at least.
It'd be interesting.
You can read like a one shot in a couple hours. Like I have quite a few. Like obviously we need to talk about Goodbye Eri. What was that one? I keep bringing up the one Jiro Taniguchi thing. Hold on, let me walk over to my fucking bookshelf here.
I did read a Jiro Taniguchi manga this week, or I finished one. I started reading it like forever ago. What was it? A Journal of My Father, Chichi no Koyomi.
Chichi no Koyomi. What's that about?
So it takes place in like the 1950s. Or actually, I think it takes place like 1980, maybe. I forget exactly when it takes place, but it's about like a father who dies, and then like they're at this funeral or whatever, and the son comes back, and he's like a what's the word? Prodigal son kind of thing, and he's been in Tokyo for most of his life and hadn't ever seen his father, and so he's kind of like getting this as an adult because he never really had much contact with his father out before he moved to Tokyo for school, which would have been university or high school, whatever, and never really got to know his father as an adult, and just kind of has these like memories of him kind of butting heads with him as a teenager because they had different like life plans for each other.
Okay, yeah.
And so he's basically kind of getting to know his father through talking with his sister and his uncles and all of his family who are at the funeral, and they're kind of reminiscing about different events in their life, and he's kind of going over the different events from like this older perspective that he had kind of avoided thinking about, and being able to see his father in this different light because he is an adult now. He is basically his father's age. He's not a father himself, I don't think, but from what I don't remember, but he is kind of like that age where he's like seeing like, there are so many things that I kind of didn't see as a child that like I can look back now and kind of realize like, I kind of misjudged the kind of character my father was, or didn't try to see from his perspective and like kind of see what he was thinking during these moments and kind of thing. It's really sad because like obviously his dad's dead and he's already not talked to him for like 20 years or whatever it was. So none of that time is coming back. And so it's basically just him kind of getting to know who his father was. Like he sees like he had a picture that he had taken, and that he really treasured and kept, and that he just had forgotten, like the son had forgotten about, that he had taken of his father. And he's kind of realizing like, oh, I kind of fucked up by not maintaining this relationship. And I just was so ready to be on my own and get out from what I felt was like the suffocating parenting, when really I've lost something I can never get back, kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds dumb and lame.
True.
That sounds really fucking. That sounds like some girly emotional shit. I think we should read Skyhawk. All right, Skyhawk sounds awesome. It sounds like it's about. Do you know what Skyhawk is about?
No.
It's about two samurai, dude. Two samurai, all right. Two samurai come to North America, and they basically join Native Americans in the fight against the American army. All right, that sounds awesome. Okay, that sounds some like real shit.
Is this a real manga?
This is a real manga. Yeah, Skyhawk. Yeah, I own it. I own it physically. It's a one shot. Yeah. Here, I'll put it in the private channel. See that? See, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Now this is something that I know will resonate with my masculine sensibilities. All right, men doing manly stuff, not feeling emotions. Okay.
Oh, Jiro. I mean, it's Jiro Taniguchi. It probably.
It's Jiro Taniguchi. Yeah.
That's basically every Jiro Taniguchi. Actually, I take that back. I think there's been, well, was it Ben K in New York? What is that? What it's called? I guess that one is like. Wait, what the fuck is this? Is this out? 2017.
What?
Koroko no Gourmet. I guess it's like a TV short made from his. One of his
the one TV thing that he's like had any sort of interaction with. Yeah, it's kind of surprising. I guess. Actually, no, it's not very surprising that like Jiro Taniguchi stuff has not really been adapted into anime. His art style doesn't really lend itself that well to anime.
Also, his plots don't really either, for being real.
No, like that's why like Summon of the Gods had to take such like a different kind of like stylistic approach. I don't know. It's just there's a number of like live action adaptations of his works, aren't there?
Yeah, there's one for A Distant Neighborhood. Which, by the way, is
okay. Yeah. There's
one of my
Some
favorite
of the
manga.
Gods.
I need to read more.
A Distant Neighborhood.
Yeah, I need to read more Taniguchi stuff, because like the four that I've read Some of the Gods, A Distant Neighborhood, the one I was just talking about, A Journal of My Father, and Walking Man, and the worst one was A Journal of My Father, and it's.
And it sounds like that one was pretty good.
It is good. Like, it's not the best, but it is still good. Like, the worst he's done so far. I'll take it back. I started reading Ben K in New York. That is one, and I wasn't a fan of that one when I read of that one. Also, didn't really care for. I guess I've read more than I was thinking. Didn't care for Inu Wokao, which is about getting a dog. I didn't really care about that one.
No, yeah, you, a person allergic to dogs, obviously would not be able to understand the joy of getting a dog.
Well, actually, it's 5 short stories. The first one tells of the death of an old dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just different dog stories.
There's like also like a lot of stuff early in his career where he just has like art credits and not story credits, and all the covers have like 80s action kind of thing. They all
Ben K
are
kind of
giving like Rambo vibes.
Yeah, like Garuden or whatever. That's probably one.
Yeah.
Knuckle Wars.
Knuckle Wars.
Maybe I'll just go on a Taniguchi marathon and read like all the stuff I can.
Maybe he's like, I feel like he's like got to be like one of the more, at least like in English in America, is like one of the more slept on manga artists.
Yeah, he's definitely not slept on in like Europe. He's big enough that they've made 2 movies out of his stuff.
But it's like when you think of like the seinen bro manga chart. I don't think there's any Taniguchi on that, is there?
Some of the Gods might be, but that's maybe like kind of like a new. I feel like that was like
one
that people really jerked off. Like I did for good reason. It's good, But it was one that people really jerked off because it was like gate kept for the longest time.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
nobody would let it, like anyone that had it would not put
Didn't
it up
want to
online.
scan it, basically.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
no, you just go buy it. So you had
Just go
when
buy
I read it, yeah, I had to buy it. I had to buy all fucking was it 5 volumes or 6 volumes, whatever it was.
And they're thick fucking volumes
They're
too.
thick. They're fucking. They're a little bit bigger, like size wise, dimension wise. They're a little bit bigger than the normal average manga volume too. But they then they were scanned like within like 6 months after I bought them.
Oh no, Mumi was forced to purchase physical media.
Listen,
the horror.
Listen, I don't mind buying physical media when I like the thing.
Yeah.
I don't like having to buy it to consume it to figure out if I like it or not.
Well, buy it, and if you don't like it, donate it to your local library. All right,
your local library.
Or even if you do like it, donate it to your local library.
I don't really want to. I don't like buying manga.
It is a pain in the ass because it takes up so much fucking space.
It takes up so much space. It also is much more expensive than it is in Japan. Like, it would be one thing if you were in Japan, because then it's like you would buy the full set for like $20 or whatever. The fucking full set for some of the gods when I bought it was like $130, $140 because it was not in print anymore. So like some of the volumes were like much more expensive than the others. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But you recently have now read in its entirety Houseki no Kuni.
I have read Houseki no Kuni. It's funny because like I knew I would like it, so like I was never really like I never really felt like pressed to read it, if that makes sense. Because like I'll enjoy it whenever I get around to it.
I feel like no, because like we talked about this before. I have a similar thing with anime, and I think we had Hayden on. I think when we were talking about it, and you had like the opposite perspective when it came to anime, where it's like because you knew you would like something, you wanted to watch it sooner.
Yeah, I think it's because manga's not like my primary mode of consumption. Like it's not the thing I seek out primarily. So like
sounds like it certainly has been this last week.
Yeah, I just haven't really felt like watching anything.
No, again, yeah, the season is kind of mid.
There was a bunch of manga. Like, I feel like the last time I went on like a manga binge outside of like one series, because like I read Fire Punch relatively recently. I read Vagabond earlier in the year. Like outside of like doing that, I think the last time I went on like a manga binge where I just read a bunch of different series was like, gosh, a few years ago. I don't even know.
Probably, I was thinking maybe like 2020, 2021.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Right. Well, when did you read the painting manga?
Kakugaku Shikajika.
Yeah, Kakugaku Shikajika.
Kakugaku Shikajika.
Kakugaku Shika. Koshi tan tan.
Koshi Chika Naka Noko Noko. Let me pull it up. I'll have a definitive answer here in a second.
See, I just don't read manga. I forget what prompted me to just read all of Houseki. Actually, no, I didn't read all of Houseki no Kuni. I read all of it that was out, and then there's a very infamous point in the manga that it ends on, and the manga basically went on hiatus for several months, maybe even more than a year. And I had caught up to that point, and then was just like slowly waiting for the manga for it to start coming out again.
See you in 10,000 years.
Yeah, such a trolling kind of thing to do. But I guess before we get into like spoilers about anything, maybe we should talk about the anime, since I feel like anyone listening has probably seen the anime at least.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, hasn't seen it, hadn't heard of it, it's the famous anime that was the turning point for CG, where people were finally saying like, finally the first good CG anime.
Yes, the first anime that's entirely in CG that's good. Like, because it's Studio Orange, so which is at least among anime fans, I feel like a household name.
Now
by
it
this
is.
point.
I think it was Houseki no Kuni that basically put them on the map for a lot of people.
Yeah. But they hadn't even done like work prior on like Majestic Prince.
Yeah, they
Like
were like
did,
a
like, all the
support
mecha
studio,
fights.
right?
Yeah. But even then, that was Majestic Prince was a series where people were like, the mech fights in this, they're CG, but holy fucking shit. And then helming Houseki no Kuni, which is a bit of an interesting. It's a very interesting thing to see because the manga has a very distinct style to it that you would think that adapting it into CG you would lose something, and to a certain extent you do, in terms of like the very like stark paneling, the use of like black and white and all this like negative space. But it makes up for that. The anime makes up for that through a lot of like much more dynamic shots that you could never really hope to do, especially when it comes to action. And there is a lot of action in the manga and in the anime, and I think it's all handled exceptionally well in both. Honestly, I like the action in both, but seeing some of the stuff that they're doing in the anime is astounding.
You say there's a lot of action. There's not a lot in comparison to like a battle shonen, right? Because like the action is never the focus. There's a lot of like conflict where they do come into conflict with these other beings or whatever, and they fight. But there's not like a major focus on those fights. Like it doesn't spend more than, most of the time it doesn't spend more than like 5 pages on like a fight.
Yeah, and there's not like a ton of rules, basically. It's just defeat the evil Buddhist monster things that are invading. Yeah,
there's like a little bit, there's like, there's a new type or whatever, but in the manga it's not very clear like whether they're a different type or not, because a lot of times they're so small and like there's not a lot of detail, because like purposely the manga is very contrast focused, where it's very stark shading and black backgrounds and white background, like stuff like that. There's not a lot of detail on the there's not, it's a very stark difference from like Jiro Taniguchi's artwork, what we were just talking about, and like Houseki no Kuni.
The character designs are very simplistic, and if I were to have any complaint about the manga, is that it is kind of hard to tell characters apart sometimes. Because in the anime, you obviously have the benefit of like, oh, well, these are different gems, so they are different colors. You don't get that in the manga, and sometimes it's like, wait, who are you?
Yeah, most you get is like their hair, like
yeah, that's like the main thing, because they all have like similar outfits on as well.
Yeah, Bort is easy to like differentiate because they have like the long square black hair.
Yeah.
But then like there are some like Yellow Diamond and Diamond is very hard to differentiate in the manga. But they are basically the same character.
But that's basically my only complaint about the manga, at least visually, because otherwise it is a really good looking manga. Like there's some really, really wonderful, like striking panel work going on in the manga.
Yeah,
I would highly.
That was part of the reason I knew I would love the mangas, because I really loved
the
aesthetic of like just the panel work and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you see people like post them around and stuff, and you're like, man, that looks so fucking cool.
Yeah, well, like the simple kind of rounded designs, kind of. I don't know what that art style is called specifically, but it gives me like a weird like 70s feel. I don't know if that makes sense.
I could see that to an extent, because like even the way the characters are drawn, sometimes they're drawn in a very like loose fashion, you know, where like sometimes the lines don't fully connect and things like that.
Yeah.
But in terms of the story, in retrospect, I feel like very little happens in that first season of because the first season of the anime covers basically the first 30 some chapters. It's a little bit hard because the way the anime ends does not necessarily neatly map to like how the manga like ends at that same point.
Right.
They move some events around a little bit. I think if you want to go from the anime, if you've seen the anime and you just want to start into the manga, but you don't want to start from chapter 1, you could probably start around chapter 29, 30.
something like I end up reading it's hard generally for me to do that, but I did end up reading it from the beginning because it was very easy for me to just go back through it.
Yeah, it's not very, and also it's been so long.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like 2017, so it's been 8 years since I watched it because I just watched
Season
it.
Season 2 is coming any day now, guys.
I mean, Beastars is over. They'll announce it any second now.
Any second now. I feel like in part probably the reason that like we haven't gotten to season 2 is they were waiting, like not necessarily Studio Orange, but like the publisher and the author were waiting for the manga to be over before doing any further anime adaptation work, if there is any like coming out, which I would say there's probably 2 more seasons left. And then what I've always said is that the way that the manga ends, without spoiling it, is like impossible to adapt into a TV anime without putting everyone off.
Yeah.
Without people being like, what the fuck is like, because that was the reaction people had to the ending of the manga as it was coming out. Because people were like, what the fuck is this?
I feel like you would just adapt that whole, because it's basically a novel, like volume. I feel like you would just adapt that full volume into like an OVA or like a epilogue.
I was thinking like a movie. I feel like you could do like an end of Evangelion kind of thing.
No, I don't think you could do that as a movie. Like maybe you're doing like
because the first half of the movie, you could do the first half of the movie as like the big climax with everything that happens, and then what is essentially the post story could then be like the second half of the movie.
I feel like it'd probably be better just doing it as an OVA.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't like the idea of ending off on something like that per se.
I mean, it's basically like called an epilogue in the manga.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the ending, even though it is the ending. So I feel like you could get away, because like that would probably be the best way to go about it, honestly, with the content it is. But we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Anime wise, like I do think the anime is like probably the best adaptation you could have done out of that material, because it does feel like a perfect encapsulation of like what Houseki no Kuni is doing and what is going to be and going for, without just like,
I would say so,
tipping its hand completely, if that makes sense.
Because season 1 does end on a big cliffhanger, which isn't really a cliffhanger in the manga, where Phos confronts Kongo, basically asking like, can you explain this shit, please? And that's basically where the anime ends, whereas that's basically just how a chapter in the manga starts, if I remember correctly. So very, very frustrating there, but where the story in the manga goes, obviously, like past that point, everyone always says that, like, you know, it gets really dark or it flies off the rails and stuff, and I've never really been a big fan of that. I feel like while the story does get more serious and in some respects more dark, it does also maintain a fairly kind of light tone. And you get this in the anime to an extent as well, where like it feels like something bad will happen, but then the way that the aftermath of that happening is handled, it doesn't actually feel that bad as a result.
I will say the trajectory that the anime kind of gave off, and like what people kind of describe with Houseki no Kuni, it did feel like it was going to get, it does get darker toward the end. But like it felt the trajectory was just going
like 10 chapters.
Yeah, it just felt like it was the trajectory of it felt like it was going to just keep getting like going dark in like the depths of hell or whatever. But it does like it doesn't go quite as far as like even the anime ended. I don't think like the anime she felt like she felt different at the end of the anime, like very slightly from how she does at the end of in that part of the manga. And then
Phos,
and then she does have like an arc where she like becomes the happy Phos again, and you're like, oh, okay. Like I didn't expect this direction, I guess. Like I was expecting it
doesn't really have a very like, it doesn't really have a very brooding tone. And even the ending, I mean, some people may say it's like a sad ending. I've always thought it's a very hopeful one. And in general, I would say that Houseki no Kuni is overall a very hopeful series is how I would describe it. For anyone who's like worried about getting into it because like, oh no, it's just going to be torture porn and all these characters are going to be suffering constantly. That's not really what the story is, ultimately. Especially with some of like the later reveals, and as we learn more about this overall conflict between the gems and like the Buddhist moon people. Like as we get a greater perspective on that, it becomes a lot more clear. I feel like that is like kind of the moment where for me it was like, okay, I understand what this story is doing now.
I think there's very valid complaints to be had with
Sure
how it kind of takes things at the end, as far as like mainly just like emotional,
a little bit dragged out to get to that chapter 108 count.
That there's that is probably the most valid complaint. Also, I don't really like blame anybody for feeling put off by like where the direction kind of goes for the epilogue kind of thing, because it is like you are changing direction quite a bit. You know, it is kind of off-putting.
It is a hard left turn, but one that makes I think a lot of sense to me.
It makes sense
at the end where it's like. Mm-hmm.
I think the way I described it was like it logically it makes sense and I like it, but like as like an experience it kind of puts me off because I'm like this is not what we were doing for the last 90 something chapters. Like
right. Well, it's because like the fundamental premise of the series, and you get this in the season 1 of the anime, is almost like a ship of Theseus kind of thing, and you get that in Phos's character. Where like they're kind of like steadily being replaced and stuff. Like it starts with like their legs and their arms, and then it, you know, past that where the anime ends into the manga, that becomes just a recurring thing to the point where it's like, is this Phos anymore?
Yeah.
But again, not necessarily dark way. Again, it does maintain a fairly comedic tone. If also kind of weird, where it's like, what is this subplot we're doing right now? What is this weird romance subplot? What the fuck is happening?
It's an interesting complementary piece to Fire Punch, given that I just read Fire Punch, because they both tackle this sort of idea of growth through struggle or like sacrifice in a very similar way. With Houseki no Kuni, like it is very literal in Houseki no Kuni. Obviously, like if you've seen the anime, you know, like slight spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen the anime, but she loses her legs at one point. They replace it with other legs.
Yeah.
They establish in the setting that like the gems memories are stored throughout their body. It's not like just their brain or something. So the fact that she lost like a third of her body,
inclusions.
Yeah, the fact that she lost like a third or a fourth of her body means that she lost a third or a fourth of her memories. And so that trend continues where like she loses her arms at one point. And so she's literally losing parts of what made her herself or whatever in a literal,
both literally and character wise.
Yeah, it turns her into like this weird composite character in a way, but in a way that's like
the initial the initial premise of the story is Phos is the weakest gem. They've got like a hardness rating, a mole's hardness rating of 2, so they shatter really easily. That's like, I think that's the first thing that happens in the anime is Phos is just shattered, and you're like, oh my god, but it's like, no, it's fine. They're used to that. And they're basically tasked with this job by Kongo, who's kind of like the leader of the gems, to start an encyclopedia. Like documenting everything, and that just stops being a part of the story after a certain point.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not something she was interested. I feel like it stops being a part of the story in the anime. Even like it's not even. No,
it does. Because like when Phos gets like new legs and arm and you know like the liquid metal power or whatever, they become a lot more competent at fighting, which then ties into like stuff that happens like later in the anime where all the gems need to go to sleep. So it's Phos and who's the other one? Like Antarcticite?
Yeah,
are basically tasked with guarding them through the winter, essentially. It's a part of what I like about the series is also just how surreal a lot of the stuff is.
Yeah, it
feels very alien.
Very alien, very like striking kind of image. Like honestly, the Buddhist stuff, at least as like an aesthetic, is fucking great. Like, I know they do tie a lot into the story itself and stuff, but like just aesthetically, the gems versus
there's
the Buddhist,
so many great panels.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
Or even just like they're like these glaciers that can like whisper to you and like make you feel despair and stuff. It's such like a weird abstract concept, and that's amplified even more later on with like the stuff that we learn towards like the middle of the manga, where we learn what the story is in a literal sense really about.
I don't know. Do you want to get into the spoilers?
Yeah, I feel like we've glazed just in general enough that we can just kind of start spoiling stuff. So, I mean, if you haven't read it, it's not very long. Especially now that the hiatus is over. It's like, yeah, you could read it in an afternoon, it feels like.
108 chapters. They are longer chapters because I think it was monthly.
They are longer chapters. But I mean, also, like, if you wanted to, like, speed read it, there's not a lot of text most of the time.
There gets to be quite a bit of text toward like the last third, I think.
Some more expositionary stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they need to be like, this is what this is all about. And it's like, what? And it's like, yeah, let me explain further. And it's like, oh, thank God. So I guess now that we're into spoilers,
should we put should we put like a go skip to this time, I guess, for like fucking, I don't know. I guess like you could look at I guess you're on Spotify, there's fucking timestamps. I don't know if there is on like
yeah,
Apple
I guess I'll put something here. Kanata, when should they skip to avoid spoilers? We'll probably be talking for a while.
Skip to 1 hour, 22 minutes, and around 45 seconds if you're a fucking casual that hasn't read Houseki no Kuni.
Probably. Well, we probably will end up talking about some other things toward the end, at least. I don't know how much we will, but yeah. Now that everyone's gone, that's gonna be fucking spoiled. Look at those fucking losers.
Yeah. So the real plot of the story is that humanity has basically evolved and been split into 3 different kinds of beings. You have the gems. You have, which represent the bones. You have the sea creature things that we see in the anime that are like the flesh, and then the moon people who are the soul.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's not a major spoiler, but.
No, but, well, because we learned this, or maybe we learned it earlier, but
we learned at
a certain point. Do we? Okay.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember when that comes up.
Says it.
Okay. The Squid Girl.
Yeah. Ikamusume.
But at a certain point, Phos basically, and I think this happens in the anime as well, Phos is like trying to get to the moon, and they do end up getting to the moon after a certain point, and I think that's kind of when I knew I loved this manga, because when Phos gets to the moon, you expect it to be like this horrific like monster thing, but no, everyone's just really nice.
They're just all like putting on weird masks or whatever when they go to the Earth.
Yeah, because like the one like really like scary like Titan like juggernaut Buddhist guy, you get to the moon and he's just like this like huggable fella, basically wholesome Chungus man.
Wholesome Chungus.
Which is when we kind of that's basically the turning point of the story, because now Phos is given a new direction by the Prince of the Moon people, whose name is Ikmea? I've never really figured out how you're supposed to say it.
Ikmea, he goes by multiple names.
Yeah.
Because I think whether Akmea is like the name they gave him because they couldn't say his real name, but his real name, he's actually what is the fucking Hindu deity.
Oh, I have no idea.
I got fucking. I'll pull it up.
Yeah,
He's
I
like the
guess we
Hindu
can pull it
deity of
up real quick. But he's basically like the prince of the moon people, because that's kind of just what everyone is like. He's our prince, and he's like, sure. And
Yama.
it's interesting because Yama, yeah. Well, he's presented as like a villain almost initially, but he's not really. He's kind of just trying to do the right thing, and he's going about it in a kind of unpleasant way. But you do understand it's like, okay, yeah, no. So the plot of the story is that once upon a time, thousands or millions of years ago, humanity was basically destroyed because they made this like robot thing that would predict meteors coming in, but the robot thing was like, humanity is too fucked up. I'm gonna like give these fucked up calculations and let all these meteors hit the Earth. So they then get angry at this robot box and like cast it out into like the like ocean or whatever. And then this professor lady basically like saves it and releases it, and that is what becomes the words in the glaciers that talk, basically. And this professor lady, the scientist lady, also is the one who made Congo, because it turns out Congo was actually a machine with the purpose of, he's a prayer machine. So the idea is that Congo can pray to purify souls so that they pass into the next life of nothingness. But Congo is broken, so he won't take any commands from anyone who is not a person, not a human, so he won't take any commands from the moon people. And what the moon people want is for Congo to basically pray them away into nothingness, because they've been living on the moon for like millions of years and are kind of sick of it a little bit. And in order to convince him to do so, they believe that Congo has become attached to the gems that are the main characters. So the reason they're destroying the gems and crushing them up and putting them onto the moon is in order to basically convince Congo to pray them all away.
It was an interesting...
It's a really schizo premise.
Yeah. It's... interesting. I don't know how I feel about Akmiya being like this puppet master reveal, where it's like, oh yeah, you lost your arms because I told the fucking I don't remember what his name was, the Congo's brother in the ice flows, to bite your arms
off. Machine Brother, yeah.
I was like, I don't know if we needed that part. Like, that seems a bit
right
too like fucking all according to Keikaku
convoluted.
Shit.
Yeah, because Akmeya's like ultimate plan is to basically turn Phos into a human so that Phos can convince Congo to pray everyone away. And then this basically becomes like Phos's primary objective, because by praying all of the moon people away, then they'll be able to like live in peace as like rock people, as gems on Earth, basically.
And then plans change because they go to the moon and the gem people become incorporated into the Lunarian society and all that.
Everyone just becomes Lunarians after a certain point, and then Phos prays them all away, and then we get several chapters of rocks, like actual rocks just singing. And that's how the manga ends. And then the sun blows up.
I generally liked Akmiya for the most part. I do think it gets a bit too, according to Keikaku or whatever, where he like the reveal
again. Also a weird. Mm-hmm.
Well, is it like the reveal of the ice flows? Because like he generally just kind of feels like he's trying to do his best, and he kind of just lucks into things a little bit.
Yeah.
But then like
it's kind of
flies out the window a bit when you're like, oh, he actually was putting this into motion all the way back from when Phos was like 200 years old or whatever. And it's like, I mean,
he's a very ambiguous character, and it's kind of hard to get a grasp on him, which makes it interesting, because then in every scene you're kind of like, what is his goal? What is his aim? Including the weird romance subplot that he has with the black gem.
Oh yeah. Cardigan.
Yeah. Karagorm.
What the fuck their name is?
Which that was like, I'm just like, okay, sure. Sure. He's basically just Doctor Doom. I understand.
It was interesting.
Quiet. A black woman is speaking. Listen and learn.
It was interesting because like it made me think. I don't know how many people were thinking about this when I picked up on. Not that it's like super fucking unique or anything, but because like when Phos goes to the moon and she eats the food, obviously
you think that was like kind of like a spirit thing.
Well, obviously there's the element in with like these kind of spiritual stories that when you eat food from the spirit realm, you can't go back, kind of thing. And so I do
like
think part of that is intentional in some degree. Obviously she goes
some
back
degree, because again,
literally, but
then like the other gems are kind of like, what if what came back wasn't Phos?
what if
What if that was something else?
I kind of started looking at it from like almost a biblical perspective, because it's like she takes a bite of like forbidden knowledge and then goes and tempts people out of the garden, essentially.
The whole manga itself kind of has the feeling of almost like a creation myth, where it all feels very abstract, and you have all these different like kind of like titanic, tragic characters in this grand narrative going on, and not necessarily like a good versus evil kind of grand narrative that you would see in something like the Bible, but more so kind of like trying to pass on, essentially, you know. Because like that's also like where, and I'm not like a particularly smart or aware when it comes to like Buddhist stuff, but that is like the overarching kind of theme. There is this foregoing of attachment and you know, being willing to let yourself kind of like pass on and let something new happen as a result.
Yeah. I do wonder how, because like it does feel somewhat intentional to have like some of these like parallels with Christianity. Obviously, the main parallels are very blatantly to Buddhism, but I don't think it's unintentional that like Phos goes and like tempts people, like, because it very much feels like a sort of a Garden of Eden kind of thing in a way, where it's outside of the Lunarians attacking them, but he kind of like introduces sin into the world, or Acmea kind of introduces sin into the world, and then has Phos go act as like Eve and tempt people out of being able to walk out
of paradise, basically,
Congo, and experiences unconditional love kind of thing and all that. And then they go, and he kind of just lets them, because he just values their freedom over subjugation and making them love him or whatever. And like there's all these parallels to like I don't know how much of that is kind of like unintentional, in that it's paralleling like Buddhist concepts, and it just happens to overlap with like Christianity teachings or whatever, and how much that is actually intentional to just, you know, not even that it's saying like it's a biblical story, but like it does very much feel like there's some overlap with like Yama being a kind of a Lucifer kind of character, or if you want to go like the Gnostic route or something and be like, oh, he's actually the good guy or whatever, the Lucifer, you know what I mean? Like
right.
He feels a very
versus
Lucifer role,
the Demiurge Congo.
Yeah, the Demiurge Congo. Like it does feel very Gnostic in that way, but like obviously that could just be Buddhist Hindu kind of stuff combining or whatever. Like I'm not as versed in those theologies to be able to pick up on that kind of stuff, unfortunately.
Eastern kinds of thing. Yeah. South Asian.
I know the basics enough
mythology
to be able to be like, yes, I know this, where this is, but I don't know like the details to be able to pick up on everything.
But that Ship of Theseus thing does end up becoming much more of an ass, because it's before Phos goes to the moon that Phos gets the head of Lapis, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's how she comes up with the plan to begin with, is because doesn't have
because Lapis is like smarter or whatever.
Yeah, smarter and more conniving, where she could come up with like a plan like that.
So that's like the next replacement, and then it's like one of the eyes, I believe.
Well, the eye was just so they could keep tabs on Phos or whatever, because they give her,
right, yeah.
Like
and there's another eye. There are many. There's also a recurring eye motif, I guess, in the story. But yeah, then Phos comes down, tries to convince the other Lunarians to basically, not Lunarians, the other gems to basically abandon Congo so he will be alone, so that way Congo can then finally do his fucking job, okay? Do his goddamn job and pray everyone away.
That is like my favorite part of the ending, where Phos just like crashes out because they're like, you fucking worthless piece, just do your fucking job.
That horrifying panel.
Yeah. Like it's so good, and like not even like I love this, but like I love it in like a story sense, but it's like obviously it's very very horrifying, very like deranged looking, because they're just literally like at wit's end. They've like completely lost sight of who they were at this point. They're just like,
no, yeah, because like you literally have a moment there towards the end where Phos gets like a vision of like their like former self, like what they looked like at the start of the manga, like running by, and they're like, I wonder who that could be.
Oh,
it's like the Garfield thing of like, I wonder who that's for.
I wonder who that's for.
By the way, for the 10,000 years panel, for like, see, like everyone have a nice 10,000 years or whatever. Did you think of like the furtive pygmy from Dark Souls with that?
No.
Really?
No,
really?
That didn't come to mind at all.
Like that imagery there, kind of like Phos kind of like bent down, reminded me of like the furtive pygmy from Dark Souls. Do you know why the manga was on hiatus for so long? By the way,
her to play.
Did you? Yeah, for her. Did you read any like the author commentary on like the margins?
No, I don't think. I'm not sure.
That is essential to understanding the story, because you see recurringly she's like, I'm trying to buy PS5. I can't buy PS5. I want to buy a PS5. I finally bought a PS5. And it's like, then the manga goes on hiatus. So I think there are other reasons, of course, but it also felt very much like, oh, she got PS5 and is now just playing PS5. And that's why we're on hiatus.
I don't know how much you've like looked into stuff about the ending, or like this just mysterious in general, like any kind of like analysis. I did watch
not a ton.
I did watch an interesting video by Riza Creators. Shout out to them. RIZA.
Shout out to them.
They did an interesting video on the pronoun usage at the end. Where they're pointing out how like, because like obviously that's a very big thing in Houseki no Kuni, that they use kind of ambiguous pronouns.
Yeah, you like, haven't been. I have.
What?
Like you've been saying like she and stuff.
I'm bouncing around because.
Okay.
But they use ambiguous pronouns, and they're not even necessarily like. They're androgynous kind of like usage. They're not gendered either way.
The rocks.
Right. They do use like, sometimes they use more masculine, but they're not necessarily like, I'm a guy. It's just a masculine like kind of like, yeah. Toward the end, because like a big thing with like Phos is they use is it Watashi?
Okay.
They don't like, they use a very like, essentially they use a very
like formal kind of thing.
No, it's very unsure pronoun.
Okay.
Where it's I think it's Boku is the one that's a little bit more like brash.
Yeah.
And some will use like Atashi and stuff like that. She Phos will just use the more like unsure, because like they're not sure of themselves, right? And then it's toward the end they finally changed their pronoun usage with what's that fucking one's name? The red one that they were supposed to do the promise
Cinnabar?
with. Cinnabar, yeah. When they fight Cinnabar, they finally use like "oh my," which is essentially like saying like "you bitch" or whatever, right?
Okay.
Like it's very like brat. It shows like distance, and it also shows like disdain. Like the way it's used, it's like basically like you're below me or whatever. And so they're establishing the distance between them and Cinnabar at that point. And there's an really interesting usage at the end when Phos becomes the god at the end, because they use the pronoun watakushi, that's what it is.
Okay.
Which is one that like you never really use. It's basically only used in like really super formal, like deity kind of settings where like you are like meeting a god and you are like, how can I serve you? You're like submitting yourself to the lowest level to like this deity. And so Phos does this. It kind of mirrors the usage of Amai with Cinnabar, because like they are establishing like, I do not know you. We are separate. We don't know each other kind of thing. But it's been 10,000 years. They've become a god now. And then they're doing the same thing, but they are doing it in such a way where they're saying, they basically kind of reveal like they are going to help them, because they're just like, I'm subservient to you. I no longer see myself as so above you like I did previously, where I was using Amai or whatever. Now I'm using Watakashi. And there's very interesting. I feel like there's a lot of this that's like kind of lost in translation a lot of time, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, but at least the translation I read mostly just used masculine pronouns for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's the one I had too, which I mean, it's not, I guess there's a lot of discussion I've seen kind of in passing where like people argue like they can use female, they can use male, they can use, like, it doesn't really matter, because it's just all like some of them present more feminine, some or what. It's not.
Listen. I'm straight. Whatever makes my dick hard is a woman.
I'm super straight. All right.
Absolutely, all right.
I'm a super straight American.
I don't care if they're rocks. I don't care if they're rocks. I'll fuck them anyway. Just try and stop me, all right?
I'm a super straight American.
I'll give them some more human inclusions.
The soil underneath my feet at all times is America, even if I'm not in America. And that makes my dick hard as a woman, even if they're not a female. Yeah, that was. I thought that was an like a cool detail that I would not have picked up on if I didn't just look at like supplemental material and people's analysis and stuff like that. So shout out to that video.
I think I did remember seeing something about when because like there's that comet in that final chapter as well, that there was like a tie-in to some actual comet that was kind of like passing by that also has like a similar like greenish color to like Phos around the time of that when that chapter basically came out. Probably also points to like why it was like also on hiatus for so long.
They were just like, she was just like, oh, I'm gonna just push it off till that comic comes.
Yeah, let me see. Is it? I don't know if I can find the exact name of the comment. Also, what I heard may have just been complete bullshit. Hold on, wait. Chapter, trivia, baby. Okay, yeah. Ichikawa may have lined up the release of Chapter 108 with the real-life 12P Pons-Brooks comet orbit cycle, as there are many similarities between the comet in the chapter and the one in real life. The comet is a bright teal color and is incredibly similar to the color phospholite. Ichikawa said she was happy to finish the series on schedule. That's a kind of a reach. But it is kind of like, that's like an interesting kind of, the last perihelion passage was on April 21st. Wait, when are the chapter come out? April 25th. And the last perihelion passage was on April 21st, with the closest approach to Earth being on June 2nd, 2024.
Wow, that was almost my
I don't know what a perihelion passage is, but it's good enough for me.
Good enough for me.
Oh, I guess that's when it's closest to the sun.
Yeah.
So that's like an interesting little detail as well.
Interesting, like the way that like they clearly try to like line things up is interesting with like 108.
Well, yeah, because I mean, obviously, I think everyone like with the Buddhist theming, everyone was kind of like, yeah, they're gonna end it around chapter 108. Like that was kind of like something people are kind of like for years kind of expected.
I guess speaking of the ending, what we didn't really talk in detail about it. What are your thoughts on the ending?
I kind of love the ending. It's kind of like my perfect kind of, I guess, apocalyptic ending in a sense, because there's a thing going on in the series is that the time skips get perpetually longer. Like it starts off and it's like, okay, it's like only a year or like however long, and then I think when the gems crush up Phos and bury them around like the area, which is why like Phos is like so fucked up at one point. That like what was that, like 700 years or something, like a really long time.
Yeah, it was hundreds of years.
And then you get the really long time skip of 10,000 years where it's like, okay, holy shit. And then after Phos basically becomes a god and prays everyone away, time becomes a lot less clear, and it feels like the passage of time like stretches out a lot, where it's like now we're on the scale of like millions or billions of years. Like the sun blows up at the end, so it's like that's like billions of years have passed basically. And I think it gives a very interesting sort of
I think at one point they say that because like she's at one point they're talking to the pebble, and another rock comes up and starts dancing. And I think it says that the rock was dancing for like hundreds of years or something.
Right. Because we have to think of it in terms of like, these are rocks.
Yeah.
How fast does a rock move, basically?
What is their time scale exactly? Like, yeah, they're still going by like Earth's rotation stuff, but like a rock is a rock. Like, what is their like the internal? Like, it's not a human. Like, a year is not a significant portion of like a life. It's just like, what the fuck is happening? And
I think it's like Phos spent like a long time trying to like figure out how to communicate with them as well. But I really like this idea of like this post story where all the characters have basically gone away, and now it is just these little pebbles and this weird eye guy, this weird eye robot thing.
Robot.
Who it's really funny. Again, that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where it feels like something bad is going to happen, but then it's not. Where the way Machine Brother is introduced is really creepy. He's like coming up on like this glacier or this
it's like a cliffside
iceberg or whatever. And he's like, I smell humans, and it's like, oh no, this is gonna be he's gonna fuck up everything. And it's like, no, he's just a silly little guy.
He's just a silly little guy who hates humanity.
He hates humanity, but he likes his little rock friends.
Rock people are
and
cool.
He likes
he's cool with the rocks.
Yeah, he also likes Phos, even though like there's very little of humanity left in Phos by that point. Yeah, I like how like again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying with it feeling almost like a creation myth, basically, where the final chapters of the story are dedicated to these completely beings that we do not even would consider to be alive, living out their days on Earth and then eventually another planet. I know because I was reading it as it was coming out. A lot of people were just like, we've completely lost the plot, and I'm like, yes, and that's what makes it so exciting.
I mean, I like I said, I do understand people's like complaint with that, because like it is like you do follow this plot, it does resolve, and then like now we're just following these rocks dancing and shit.
Right.
It's like as far as like
a fundamentally different story, but I think thematically it makes a lot of sense.
Logically, yeah. Again, logically, it does make sense. There is stuff to like take away from these chapters or whatever. But I do understand like the frustration of like the pathos and the catharsis being kind of like ruined, because it's like you kind of left with some things with like the other. He's like, oh, I was following these characters and this plot, and now it's just not that. Okay, like I do understand that.
Yeah,
as
but you
like
get the stuff like in like I think it's like the second to last chapter was like the sun is blowing up and Phos is on Earth and she's like fading away. That it's like, that moment still hits really hard for me.
Where they like all their layers are like stripped away and they
like all their layers like retract.
Yeah, that was a good moment
for me. That's like, oh, this is what we call cinema.
Absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. Like the fucking like Mad Men meme of him like sitting in the theater. But I think there's still like a fair amount of like pathos in these like final chapters for me, because it's almost kind of like now we can finally have peace, basically.
It does go back to like the whole Buddhist stuff of like letting go and immaterial and like really even in like with impermanence and Phos's character arc. Because there is like my initial like thing was just like, which I still feel to a degree, which is like, man, Phos really got fucked. Like everyone just fucking forgot about him. Yeah, didn't give a shit. Like, what the fuck?
Well, no. Like Cinnabar and stuff, people were still like, what about Phos? And it's like kind of like this tragic thing.
Yeah, like, what about Phos? And Cinnabar's like, I feel bad that I don't give a shit. They blew on I was like, damn, fuck these fucking dudes are ride or die at all. This is fucking bullshit. But like, it does like the last like epilogue stuff does tie back into like a lot, because there is like there is an empowerment in like Phos's decision at the end where it's like, I could just like fuck you over for eternity if I wanted to.
Destroy everyone.
No, not even destroy it. Like I'm just gonna fucking put you in a fucking supernova or a black hole or something, have you regenerate for all eternity, suffering or whatever. And they just choose to like give them what they want, because it's like, I don't care. Like I'm so separated from who I was 10,000 years ago or whatever. All the emotions that would have been there, that I don't even have like the desire to like take revenge or whatever. There is an empowerment in that, in like a time heals all wounds kind of thing, I guess.
Kinda.
It is the whole thing.
It feels like more like the idea is like a self-contentment with Phos, because that they were finally able to achieve something after feeling like useless for so long.
I don't necessarily know. I didn't necessarily get that part. I think that I think part of it is that at a base level they are kind, and so they kind of forgave. Like it was one of those things where like that kindness is what turned them into the monster that they were in the latter chapters, but was also what allowed them to kind of like come back around and forgive for what they kind of did. Like the people really did fuck them over, but they were able to like forgive them for it anyway. Because they were doing that for them. They were kind. And just the time that had passed allowed for them to kind of be able to separate themselves. And it really, I think the whole thing of the story is like an interesting kind of commentary on how we view just growth or usefulness, where like Phos's whole kind of inner conflict comes from this desire to be productive or useful to the people around, or the society or whatever. And
they want to be valued.
They want to be valued, but they want to be valued kind of in the wrong way. Like, it's one of those things where you see like I'm trying to think what it was I saw recently that had this kind of similar, but you see like an infant essentially that is like useless and like in a literal sense, right? Like,
I'm just imagining like you see like a little baby and you're like, you need to get a job. You little useless you fucking freeloading piece of shit.
But I mean, like, in reality, that's what infants are useless. I mean, you're investing into them or whatever because they'll be useful at some point or whatever. But
eventually,
yeah. But like everyone, what was it? It was the other manga I read. That's what I was thinking about it. The other
manga,
my lesbian experience with loneliness that I read recently.
Oh, of course, the manga that everyone compares to Houseki no Kuni.
Well, because like in that, I guess it wasn't that. It was the My Solo Exchange Diary, which is the sequel to it.
Okay, yeah.
In My Solo Exchange Diary, they talk about like wanting to feel useful and stuff like that. And it was making me think about because I just read it like I think the day after I read Houseki no Kuni, so like I'm still kind of like thinking about Houseki no Kuni.
Processing that.
Yeah. In that they're kind of talking about like they were happy as like a child, even though they were useless, and no one really like put these expectations on them, right? Like no one was like, hey, you need to do this. They kind of put those expectations on themselves because they're like, I want to be of use to someone, or I want to do this and appease them, or like make someone happy in this way. And so they rise to meet these expectations. And it's that kind of thing that kind of is both kind of instilled into people by society and like the people around them, which you kind of see in Houseki no Kuni, where like Bort and was it Padpra?
Diamond.
Who? Well, Diamond is kind of the same boat as Phos. But I was saying like
a little bit.
Bort and Padpra or whatever kind of like degrade Phos for not being useful. And it's like essentially at the beginning of the story, Phos is essentially like an infant, right? I mean, obviously they don't look like an infant, but like
but it's like everyone kind of needs to like coddle them and take care of them because they're very fragile.
Yeah, but then like also everyone loves them, right? Like no one, they coddle them and they kind of get frustrated, but like no one hates them. Like there might be some that like don't like them really, but this is life. Everyone can't please everybody. And them wanting to be useful and try to help people and appease the people around them, they put these heavy expectations on themselves to become something they're not, and they literally become a different person, where over the course of the story they lose everything. Is that like everyone loved them at the beginning of the story, and everyone's kind of like, you see like Bort and them kind of are jealous that like she's kind of loved, or they're kind of loved because they're not, despite the fact that they're not useful in the same way that Bort is like in combat or something, because Bort is projecting that sort of feeling of, I find there's value in being useful or whatever, and I get my value or define my value by being useful. It's the whole it kind of commentates on the whole like a slave value defines or values their existence by their productivity kind of thing, right?
Right.
Phos is kind of in that position where they do all these things to appease people, and then they become someone else, and then they become so far removed from where they were that they, by the end, when they do become a god and they do this like thing that helps everybody, and they don't get any joy out of it at that point because they've been so far removed, they don't know anybody anymore. That's why they use that like watakushi or whatever, because it's like, I don't know who you are. Like you're not the same people that I knew or tried to help before. Like y'all are different people at this point. And then it kind of goes back to that with the epilogue, where you get this rock that just can talk and feel their presence, and they're like, oh, I can make you more useful, essentially. Like, I can give you legs, I can help you move around, I can make you more. And then the rock rejects it because they're like, no. I'm good just talking. Like, okay, I guess I don't need talking to be useful. I don't need to give you legs and feel like I'm doing you a service. We can just enjoy each other's company. And that's a lot of what the epilogue is just Phos kind of getting that, coming to that realization of like what they wanted in reality. Like you kind of get that in the, was it the doctor character that was talking about how humans didn't really know what they wanted?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's them or whatever the fuck, the Doc Acmea or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're talking about like humans didn't really know what they wanted. They were just kind of in conflict because they didn't know. And that's, I guess, what defines Phos as being kind of very human-like, right? Is they also do not know what it is they want. They have a vague idea of like they want to be happy. They want people to love them. They want to be useful. They think that they will achieve that by being useful to them. And so they embark on this like journey, the self-destruction journey of like growth through sacrifice. That's what I say. This makes an interesting like complementary piece to like Fire Punch, because they kind of both have that kind of underarching theme of this like commentary on the nature of sacrifice for people, or this like idea of like growth through losing parts of yourself or becoming a different person from who you were or whatever. But by the time you get to the end, they have become such like so far removed, like they're not getting anything out of it anymore. Like you become like a monster or whatever, and don't even recognize like who you were. Like I that's the stuff I appreciate, at least when I was reading it. With the ending specifically, I guess, going back and being able to look at it in that perspective. Also, it reminded me of anything everywhere all at once. Is that what it's called?
Everything everywhere all at once. Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me of that, where like they turn into the rocks and just talking to each other.
Oh yeah. I don't have googly eyes on them, but yeah, I can see that comparison.
Did they have googly eyes on those rocks?
Yes, they turn around and reveal them at one point, if I remember correctly. Yeah, because that's like during like the whole like anyway. Yeah, and I think it's interesting as well, because like when the sun blows up and obviously like Phos is stripped away, that isn't technically the end of their story either, because an aspect of Phos, just a little piece of that phospholite that didn't have any human inclusions in it, is taken away on the spaceship when they go to another planet. And it ends in a very interesting way, where the story for so long has been like Phos changing and adding on all these like different components and stuff, and losing parts of themselves, but at the same time kind of becoming bigger in a sense, especially at the end when they are literally God. But then it's like that last chapter, it's just like a little like piece of them left, and they're so fragile, like they get dropped and they end up like shattering into this like, it's not even like you don't even see anything. It's just like there's nothing there anymore. It's just like tiny, like imperceivable specks, basically.
They've gone into the Horton Hears a Who universe.
Basically, well, that is like an interpretation I remember seeing of like that final panel with the comet is almost like, those little pieces of Phos eventually go on to kind of like permeate the universe in a sense. In a way, the ending is almost like cyclic in that sense as well.
Yeah.
Because then you see like Phos in chapter 1 kind of like looking up at the comet, and it's like that could in an infinitely sized, infinitely long universe, anything happens an infinite number of times essentially. Which is like, for me, what I think the epilogue arc for me almost like kind of ties in this kind of like almost like a transcendental kind of aspect to the story, where it's kind of hard for me to put into words exactly how it feels. Obviously, you could take away the story as being very like misanthropic and anti-human. I don't really read it that way, in a similar sense to how I kind of read like Angel's Egg is also a very hopeful story, has a very hopeful ending, kind of contrary to a lot of people, I feel. Where
I
think
read
the
Houseki
idea-
no Kuni is very anti-human.
Oh,
I mean, it literally is like, oh, we need to eradicate all traces of humanity into the new like going forward. Whether or not you say that's like a good or a bad ending is incident. It's like separate, but like it is anti-human technically.
It is anti-human. It is anti-human in that sense, yes. But it's so that like there can be something else as a result. Essentially, it's like wiping the slate clean, so that way you can draw something new. And I think for me, that's why it was important for the epilogue to be such like a hard, like left turn where basically almost everything has now been stripped away. And like, this is like what the story is now. It does kind of tie into that idea of like you said, like letting go and, letting new things come to pass as a result.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have anything else I want? Just the weird romance. I don't understand it. I don't really know why it's there. It's such a strange. It's looking back on it, it's really wholesome. But like when you're reading it, you're just kind of like, because you don't know Akane's character that well. You're just kind of like, is he planning something? Is he scheming? I can't really tell. I don't have a read on it. But then you're just like, I guess he wasn't a bad guy after all. So he just has this wholesome relationship with one of the rocks. Okay.
It was funny because like I posted some of them where I kept getting like recommended these stupid Dark Soul fucking shorts where it was like, oh, when the boss is just some guy that wants to protect his daughter, or like, that kind of shit. And like,
yeah,
one of them was like how Dark Souls started a random hollow with a broken sword. It's like how Dark Souls ended with a random hollow with a broken sword. And I thought about that with like Houseki no Kuni, because like how it starts is a bunch of fucking rocks talking to each other.
Bunch of rocks talking to each other, and Phos keeps getting broken, and that's how it ends. Well, are you aware of, this is where we turn into the Joe Rogan podcast. Are you aware of like what is it, like cosmic conformity theory? Let me look what it's called. Hold on.
No, I'm not. Oh, also, there was a robot, so Kongo's brother is the robot. It's like a bunch of rocks and a robot talking to each other.
So yeah, conformal cyclic cosmology is a cosmological model in the framework of general relativity proposed by the theoretical physicist Roger Penrose. In CCC, the universe iterates through infinite cycles, with the future time-like infinity, i.e. the latest end of any possible timescale evaluated for any point in space of each previous iteration being identified. Basically the idea is that, at least as I understand it through watching YouTube videos, for an infinitely large universe in which there is, or a universe of any size, actually, it doesn't even be infinitely, a universe of any size with nothing in it but radiation, even if that universe is like 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch, or we'll say 10 inches by 10 inches by 10 inches, because there's only radiation in there, perspective of time collapses basically, because radiation doesn't perceive time. Stuff moving at the speed of light does not perceive things in the time direction. So for a photon to travel 1 inch versus 10 inches, even though there's like, it's like, how are we measuring that difference in space if like we don't have a reference for time, essentially? So what the theory then argues is that if the end of the universe basically looks like this, great vacuum of nothing but radiation, like all matter has decayed away, essentially, then it ends up looking identically in structure to the very beginning of the universe as well. So like a completely massive universe like that is essentially the same as the universe at the point of the Big Bang. And that's kind of how the universe like resets in a sense. And I was wondering if that was what Houseki no Kuni was going to do, because the second to last chapter, like the sun is like dying essentially. So we're already like billions of years have now passed. And I was wondering, like, are we just going to do like an incomprehensible amount of time, like 10 to the power of 100, like time scale basically, and the universe just resets?
Well, I think it does that in a way. It does it in a way.
It does that in a way.
It introduces the garden or whatever that they go to, where there's like an infinite amount of universes within the flowers or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it basically kind of achieves that, which it kind of goes, but like, what's that paradox?
It does something else where it's much more like, instead of like, conformal cyclic cosmology, it's like a fractal almost.
Right.
Where it's like infinite iterations of itself repeated at like different scales.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like what you were talking about. Kind of also reminds me of like the coastline paradox, where
yeah,
you can, like, for anyone that doesn't know, you can basically measure a coastline, which a coastline is a set like measurement, but it can be measured infinitely essentially, because like you can continue to like go smaller and smaller in how you measure the coastline.
Yeah. Do you know what like a Buddhist mandala like painting is?
Yeah, but I need to refresh myself on it.
Yeah. Look, because those also have like a very like fractal like design to them as well.
Yeah. These things.
Yeah. So I think that could also kind of be an aspect. Again, neither of us are particularly well read enough on the topic of Buddhism or anything like that to really give much insight. We probably could have done some research, but oh well.
Listen, all right, well. I get all my scientific and religious Buddhist information from the Joe Rogan experience.
From the Joe Rogan pod. At least I don't listen to the Joe. I got all that cyclic conformal cosmology stuff from the channel PBS Space Time. All right,
Space Time.
I get it from actual the science communication stuff.
I actually don't know where I like heard. It wasn't the Joe Rogan podcast for sure, but I don't know where I heard about like the coastline paradox and stuff like that.
I've also heard the coastline paradox from like math channels on YouTube, because a lot of what I watch on YouTube is like educational. I don't really watch a lot of media content usually. I watch like a lot of like learning channels, so I can have useless facts to bring up at a party when I'm talking to people.
I mean, you're probably better for it, honestly. It's just generally just slob.
Just quoting, like, do you know that the last Japanese soldier didn't surrender until 1968?
No.
Just getting it wrong. I don't remember when that soldier surrendered. Yeah, that has been our review and analysis of Houseki no Kuni.
Very good.
I feel very good.
I feel like a fucking hack, because like outside of the short manga I've read, the last 3 like significant size manga I've read have all made it into my top 10.
I've noticed that. I was actually kind of surprised that I was like, is Houseki no Kuni gonna be one of movies like making it in movies top 10? I didn't expect it to, honestly, but I think that also maybe just speaks to like you have not read that many manga.
Partially. I don't think it's far off. Like, it definitely is in the realm of like stuff I would put in my top 10. Like, as far as the themes it's talking about.
Right, yeah. Obviously, like we were saying, the art is gorgeous.
The art's gorgeous.
So many wonderful things.
Honestly, that's probably a large lion's share of like what makes me fine with like putting it in my top 10 is like the art in general. You
have that one really cool panel that you can put in there.
Yeah, that was it. I just want that one panel.
Yeah, just the one panel. It's like, there you go. And that's how Mumi decides what goes onto his 3x3s. Does it have something cool I could screenshot?
Really, I'm more surprised about Fire Punch being in there, honestly. I didn't expect for me to put it, which I didn't initially.
Yeah.
But the longer I sat on it and the more
is that the
I kind of
only shonen manga on here?
I mean, Yotsuba's shonen technically.
Is it? I thought Yotsuba was in.
Yotsuba is published in Dengeki Daio.
Dengeki Daio. Okay, there's a shonen manga. Huh.
Yeah.
There you go. Now you have two, and all of them have been completed except for Yotsuba as well. Do you have any big manga you're like looking forward to like reading? Like anything like
No.
anything? No.
That's the problem. That's why I don't like read a lot of manga. I try to, and then like no one can really give me like great. It's one of those things where it's like if the anime, I just watch so much anime that I just will just watch the anime I'm interested in, right? But with manga, I don't. It's not like my primary. Like, again, it's not my primary thing I like to consume. So I generally try to be more selective, and it's harder to like find things that are like favorites core or whatever when you're not just reading a bunch of shit, right? Because like with anime, like I'll watch like just whatever, and then I watch like a fucking Kimigura Orange Road, and end up loving it much more than like people generally seem to, and that ends up being like higher in my favorites, and probably people will be able to recommend it to me. Like anyone could recommend you fucking watch Legend of Galactic Heroes or Tatami Galaxy or whatever.
Even
like,
if they haven't seen them, they can just say those names.
Yeah, and it's those are popular series you should go check out.
Go check it out.
I don't know how many people are going to recommend you Kimigura Orange Road, because most people that even watch it are like, I don't like this as much as based on Nikoku or Touch or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's like, there's a lot of series that you just have to kind of experience for yourself to know if it's in your favorites. But me not being a big manga person, I don't really like want to go out and just read hundreds of manga to try to find stuff. So it's like you kind of have this weird, unfortunate give and take where, because I'm not reading a lot, I'm not discovering a lot, and so there's not my manga taste just becomes more and more boring.
It's just things that are published by interesting publishers a lot of the time.
Yeah,
I don't know. This had a release from Drawn and Quarterly. Oh, that's what we should read next. We should read Shigeru Mizuki's Hitler. That one sounds like fun, doesn't it? Or I mean, we could read Shigeru Mizuki's Showa, his like history series. I've got Onward to Our Noble Deaths.
Oh, I did have Showa was recommended somewhere actually, and you brought it up on Twitter, and I was like, oh, that someone just recommended me this fucking manga.
Yeah, Showa looks really good. We could read Showa. It's only, I think it's 4 volumes. They're bigger volumes, but that's also kind of the thing for me is like, I don't like reading manga on my computer or on my phone. I kind of need that tactility, essentially.
I'm good with reading on my phone.
I need to be reading a book if I'm going to be reading manga. If I'm not, I don't know. It just feels, and this is going to sound really pretentious, but it feels like a cheaper experience almost. Like I can do it. I did it with Houseki no Kuni. But it's not like my preferred method. And I think that's also probably why I lean more towards reading like one shots, because then it's like, oh, it's a great story and it doesn't take up that much space on my shelf. Thank God.
Thank God. No, I'm good. I'm good with just reading on my phone. I don't need to own it.
You think you've seen a manga on your fucking telephone?
They're reading their manga on their fucking phones.
Get real. I feel like people are gonna kill us for you say you will read manga on your phone. I guess there's still like Tezuka stuff, like Message to Adolf.
I mean, what are you supposed to read? Like, okay, you want me to fucking buy a Kindle or something? Like, you don't have to read on your computer. Like, imagine reading manga on your computer all the fucking time. I'd fucking shoot myself.
Just like my posture would fucking suck. Just like hunched over constantly.
I don't even watch anime on my computer most of the time. If I'm like buckling down and watching a series, I watch it on a fucking TV.
I need to get like a setup somehow where I can watch more anime just on my TV. I just still don't own a couch is the problem, so I can't really. There's a bit of a problem there. I should probably get a couch. So I don't own any furniture. I am literally like the like how do guys live like this meme where it's just I have my computer chair and my computer in my apartment. That's it, and my bed.
I did. Okay, so I read, aside from the two we talked about, I read 4 other manga. 2 of them were the same, or similar.
Okay.
Or whatever. For perspective, I tried all 4 of these were like highly kind of recommended and are also kind of short. I read Palopi. I don't know how you fucking pronounce that.
Oh, Palepoli, the fucking.
Palepoli, yeah.
Is that would that be considered a yonkama?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's not really formatted as such. Yeah, that's a fun manga.
I mean, it definitely is formatted as a 4 koma kind of.
Well, no, because like
thing,
yonkama
but-
are formatted like top like
Oh,
vertically,
straight-
whereas
yeah.
Palepoli is like a square.
I didn't care for that. It was fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't really care for it.
I really like the fucking dry humor in Palepoli.
It's not my humor.
It's like it's like they have Jesus fighting a stag beetle, and then the kid the stag beetle's like, this guy sucks. Where did you find him? And the kid with Jesus is like, Golgotha. See, that's what I find funny.
Yeah, it's not my humor. I was like,
Yeah.
Didn't care for that one. Read Plastic Girl, which that was
I don't know, Plastic Girl.
it was really interesting. It's very surreal, very psychological. It's just like
Okay.
it's kind of giving you it's very vibes based.
Very vibes based. Okay.
It's like going through puberty, but it gives like presents like the turmoil of being a young girl visually more so than just straight up as a story.
Okay.
Because there's not really there's not a narrative necessarily. Like there's not like a plot or something. It's just like each page is like a different art style, and it conveys like a different kind of experience, and it's just kind of vibes for the most part. I like that one all right. Not necessarily like I like this kind of story, but I guess like for me I need less like metaphorical or like vibes, and I need more like concrete for me to get more attached to, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 I read were, as I mentioned earlier, during the spoiler section, My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, and the first sequel to it, My Solo Exchange Diary. I don't know if I'm planning on reading it past that. I think I'm kind of good. I do like Kabi as like a character author. Hard to like really parse what I mean. It's like a documentary autobiographical thing, but it's also like a character, right? Because like
Yeah. It's very weird.
I can't imagine like it is completely 1-to-1 of like her as a person, right? Like obviously it is her,
Right.
but like it is kind of also a character.
Yeah.
I really loved My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness. I thought that like
Because you are a lesbian.
I am a lesbian.
And you are a lonely lesbian.
Listen, all right. I got no problem with lesbians because it just means they like what I like.
No. I'm thinking of there's a line from like a Drake song where he's like,
Oh God.
you say that you're a lesbian, hey girl, me too.
Oh
Oh
no.
no.
But no,
Just no.
I really like both. Like I liked what she's talking about in My Solo Exchange Diary too. I think My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness is more of like an actual story though, whereas like the sequel to it, My Solo Exchange Diaries, is kind of like vignettes and just kind of like anecdotes where she's like, oh, this happened to me at this point and this happened to me on another point, and it's not really like a narrative going on with it. Whereas My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness is kind of like an actual like kind of narrative and story kind of setup.
Yeah.
I really liked that one. It's an interesting read, given I've become recently unemployed, because
Yeah.
she is kind of dealing a lot with stuff that like I kind of like you kind of deal with in the back. Like obviously anyone that like has a job or works probably relates to in some capacity. Like depending on what you're doing, obviously there are some people that are doing something that they actually enjoy doing, and maybe they don't necessarily. But she talks a lot about like, she was kind of going through the grind of like getting a job so she can like appease her parents and like be a good citizen of society or whatever, and kind of like felt like she needed to like try to go up a career ladder path in what she was doing. And the people during the interviews would be like, well, what is it you want to do exactly? Like, I don't know if you don't necessarily come off like you want to like do this thing that you're interviewing for. What would you want to do? And she's like, oh, I kind of want to be a mangaka. And like, she'd like would light up, kind of talk about that. And they're like, why don't you just do that then? Why are you trying to do this? And like her kind of experience talking about like doing things that pursuing the passions that she has, and like experiencing growth or like success in that field, and kind of finally coming to feel like this sort of fulfillment that you can only get by going out and doing the things that you enjoy doing. And she's like remarking on how she saw people working and then loving what they do and smiling and being happy. And she's like, are they like, do they know something I don't? Like, what, why are they happy working? Like, what am I doing wrong? So a lot of it is like, yeah, there's obviously she talks about hiring an escort and having lesbian sex.
Yeah.
Which funny enough, I also found that kind of relatable. Not the hiring the escort part. But there's this kind of like underlying kind of feeling of like, that's it.
Yeah.
That she has, where obviously she's not doing it with someone she loves. She's just like, oh, I should go and do this thing because like I need to experience it. And she does it, and there's this kind of like empty feeling about it. I mean, like she kind of likes it, but it's like also kind of like, oh, that was it. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I kind of find that relatable. But yeah, I feel like my lesbian experience with loneliness is a story that you should not find relatable. Like,
I feel like that's the appeal for a lot of people, though.
That is
like,
the appeal.
Like,
it is good. It is relatable if you're like, but like if you are quote unquote living your best life, you should not find this relatable. And I feel like it's more indicative that there's something wrong with you that you find this relatable. And so the fact that I'm sitting there reading this, I'm like, I fucking hate that I find this so relatable.
Yeah.
It's
You want to know what would be a fun movie for us to watch?
What's that?
I don't know if you were there. We were talking about it with Lex. There's this movie. It's a live action movie, unfortunately for you, not me, but for you. Called 37 Seconds. It's from the director of do you know that Rental Family movie with Brendan Fraser that's been like in theaters recently?
Yeah, the one where
it's the same director as that. And here, I'll read you the synopsis. The film features actress Mei Kayama, who has cerebral palsy, as 23-year-old Yuma Takada, a talented artist who wants to make her name in manga. A sympathetic magazine editor tells Takada that her art is technically proficient, but betrays her lack of worldly experience. Criticizing her depictions of sex as unconvincing, the editor tells the young woman, who uses a wheelchair to get around, to lose her virginity and then return. This sparks a voyage of self-discovery as she rebels against her overprotective mother and seeks out new experiences, trying to assert her budding independence. So...
yeah, that's basically my lesbian experience with loneliness.
Yeah, but now it's cerebral palsy. I'm like, well, for one, the premise sounds hilarious. Or it's like the magazine editor is just like, your art is good, but you need dick, clearly. This is not how sex works. You need what you need is a good fuck. All right.
Well, what's interesting is like that My Lesbian Experience with Lotus, she blows up because she does this and then writes about it. Because
Yeah.
essentially this manga is just a story time YouTuber. Like, you know those animation channels where they're like this is what happened in my day
animations
today.
type of thing, but like way more like pathetic.
Way more pathetic. It's like a Jade animation through like a fucking femcell. It's just
like pure girl failure. Yeah,
pure girl failure. But it literally just is like the story time. Like I'm reading this, I'm like, this is just a story time YouTube channel. Like, what the fuck? Like even like the manga paneling and stuff is very simple. The art is very like simple and cutesy.
I think also part of the reason like the manga has become so successful like here in America is also has a very distinct look to it with like that pink shading. Like that immediately is what like drew my eye to, because I think I found it initially. I was at Barnes and Noble doing, you know, because whenever I go to Barnes and Noble, I just only ever go to the manga section and be like, man, this is like half the store now.
I go to the manga section and the vinyl section.
Oh yeah, they do have a vinyl section. I don't know. I like buying used vinyl. Anyway, that's a different topic. But the title is very striking. Where it's like My Lesbian Experience of Loneliness, and then the art style is also very eye-catching as well, which I think is also
Tumblr.
like help.
It's very internet denizen art style.
Yeah, definitely. I think it started off as like a web series, didn't it?
Yeah, it started off on Pixiv.
Yeah, it started off on Pixiv.
It is very funny to like see the aftermath, because like she does talk about it in My Solo Exchange Diary, where she's like, they the escort agency was like, are you talking about us? It was like, I guess like she gets really fucking paranoid. She hires their escort at one point, and like she's like, did they tell you about me? And she's like, what, that you're the manga person?
Yeah. Okay. Here. So here are the entries. Okay, we've got. No, not new. Wait, hold on. Why is it? There we go. Wait. Oh, wait. My Solo Exchange Diary came out first.
No.
Wait.
In America.
No. Why is it listed as first? No. Wait. Oh, this is weird. I guess it started publishing. Yeah. Okay. So My Solo Exchange Diary started publishing like a couple weeks before My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, but I think My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness started publishing on Pixiv first, and this is just taking into account the official release dates and not like the Pixiv ones. But
I mean,
okay,
it could have been that the Solo Exchange started first, and like the first one just was published before My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness.
Yeah, I think so.
But like the rest of them were published later.
Because My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness was released as a one-shot, I believe, whereas Solo Exchange Diary was serialized.
Oh, yeah.
But then like the other ones are like, My Alcoholic Escape from Reality.
Yeah, there's a lot.
They get worse.
They get worse. I don't know if I want to read them. I kind of like, it's not that I have anything against. I'm just kind of like, after my Lesbian Experience of Loneliness, like that was like, oh, I really like this, and then going from that to My Solo Exchange Diary, I was like, I still like her, but I'm like, I'm not really getting, like, this isn't really what I read manga
The
for.
relatability is not necessarily there.
Oh no, the relatability, I still relate to her. Like I like her as a character. Like it's more that, because like again, My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness was more of a story. It had like an arc to it. And so there was more of like a poignancy to it. Whereas like the other one's just kind of like, oh, this happened and this happened.
Diary
and this happened.
Entries.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not as crazy about that.
Let me read you the other entries though. So we have My Wandering Warrior Existence. What? My Ronin Existence. And then My Twisted Eating Disorder, and then My Pancreas Broke, but my life got better. And it's like, Jesus Christ. It's just like, oh, a new Kabe Nagata manga is coming out. It's like, oh no, another plane has hit the towers. Oh God.
Where do you go from here?
No, not the Pentagon.
I got cancer, but I'm not lonely anymore.
I mean, I guess you could relate to having an organ blowing up in you.
No. I mean, I think no. My organ didn't blow up.
Oh, it just swole. It just got swollen.
No, it didn't do it. Like, it's just very complicated. It's very. It's not like appendicitis or something.
It's like, no, because you know, don't you remember? I put my organ inside of you, and then it blew up.
No, just
no.
no.
Oh, you don't remember that? Yeah, maybe you were too drunk.
Oh yeah, you know, Mumi, famed alcoholic.
Famed alcoholic Mumi. Fun fact, by the way, Mumi actually has X's tattooed on both of his hands.
What? I don't even know what that means.
That is a reference to straight edge punk culture, where it used to be that if you, maybe some bars still do this, but if you went to see a concert at a bar, at like a punk bar, but you were too young to drink, they would put X's on your hand so the bartenders would know not to serve you any alcohol. And eventually this became like a point of identity for a lot of punks in like the 70s and 80s. I think that's about right. And that's basically how you get like straight edge culture, where people basically, you know, punks were abstaining from alcohol and drugs and stuff. And as kind of like a symbol of that, those X's that would be like put on their hands with marker, they just got tattooed on the back of their hands.
Why would you think I would know that?
I don't know. I don't know how I know it.
Okay, I can't say I've never been to a bar, but I've not been to a bar often.
You've never been to a punk show at a bar.
Never been to a punk show.
You never seen like a concert at a bar. Yeah.
Actually, I can count. I think I can count the amount of bars I've been to on my fingers.
That's kind of wild. I can see why you relate so much to my lesbian experience with loneliness.
Listen, all right, we have an anime podcast. The fuck you think this is?
Well, you're telling me you're not pulling up bitches on Hinge or whatever the kids are using these days, and being like, "Sup, bitch, I got a fucking anime podcast."
Sup, bitch, I got an anime podcast.
Unprompted, sending them like our Spotify analytics that we were looking. Look at how popular my podcast is.
Oh, my numbers are pretty big, huh?